Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome. How you guys doing? It's a beautiful Friday morning here in Northern California. Super excited that you have decided to join me live. Thanks for being here. We do this every Friday at 10 o'clock. So make sure that you mark your calendar, 10 o'clock Pacific time, every Friday morning for your weekly focus. I started this about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we've had some amazing discussions going on. And so I wanted to just invite you to participate in our discussion because it's this interactive media allows me to bring your comments onto the screen. Hey, Denise. Denise is over in Martinez visiting her folks. And so she's watching live over there. So, sweetheart, always love. Yeah, I know you're my biggest fan, and I greatly appreciate that. So, but I wanted to just encourage anybody else that's joining me live to put in the comments so that we can interact with each other. That's kind of the exciting part of this medium. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about our past weekly focuses. So we've covered, what is your why? In other words, what motivates you to do what you do? We've talked about what is it you're looking to create, maybe setting some goals to move your life and your health to the next level. Excuse me. Then last week we talked about rate limiting beliefs, or actually life limiting beliefs. Sometimes they limit your rate of growth and the rate of development, but the reality is there's a lot of things that we have, our fears and doubts that hold us back. And those things keep us from living the life that we were meant to do on this earth. So, again, excited that you all are here. And today's topic, we're going to talk a lot about nutrition and how nutrition plays in the development of your life. I love this quote, which kind of came to me this morning when I was going through and preparing. And that is, you've heard the phrase, we are what we eat. Well, if that was the case, I'd probably be a pizza, right? But what we eat defines our lifestyle. So it really defines what we get to do each and every day. Because if we overate, we ate the wrong things, and over a period of time we gained a bunch of weight, we're probably not very active, right? So we're being a spectator to life rather than being a participant. So what we eat and our nutrition plan defines our lifestyle, but almost more importantly, it sets the direction for the rest of your life as we age. So, what we did when we were in 20s, 30s, and 40s, we could almost eat anything and it really not affect us too much. But as we get older, I'm 66, and as we get older, I know for a fact my lifestyle and what I eat each and every day is leading to the fact that I get to be more physically active as I get older. My dad is 90 years old and he's still active and getting around and doing well. But you know what? I'd like to be even more mobile at the age of 90. And so I think it's such an important topic to talk about when we're talking about your weekly focus, is to focus on the things that really affect and impact your life. So again, if you're joining me live, make sure you drop in some comments. Let me know where you're coming in from so that we get to interact a little bit. And if you have any questions or comments during my live today, please drop those in the chat. We get to interact both on Facebook and over in YouTube. We're over in YouTube Live in my YouTube channel. And if you're watching this in recording, make sure that you still use the comments. I read and interact with every single comment in both YouTube and Facebook. So I wanted to remind you all that if you're with me live, make sure that you comment. But I wanted to start this nutrition discussion. It's an area that I feel very, very passionate about because 17 years ago, I was working for a food distribution company. Many of you see the big trucks running around delivering to restaurants and hotels and hospitals called Sysco Foods. Make no mistake, that's where I worked. And part of my job was to eat and entertain chefs. And one of the things I did is just eat very, very poorly. So my nutritional habits back 17 years ago were a mess. And I accidentally ran into a coach who had lost about 40 pounds. She looked absolutely great. And I asked her, what did you do? And so she shared with me her nutritional plan. And so I turned right around and I followed that nutritional plan for 19 and a half weeks and dropped 85 pounds. And when you're 5'2" and you weigh 225 pounds, losing 85 pounds is significant. And it quite frankly set the path for the last 17 years. And I think it's also set the direction of my life for the remaining time that I have here on this earth. I often tease people that, when I turn 60, I'm halfway through my life. I'm going to live to be 120. And so, God willing, and having some great healthy habits, maybe I'll be able to live well into my hundreds. And so, again, it's all about setting nutritional habits. So, 85 pounds gone, and at age 65, I'm in better shape now than I was in my 30s and 40s. And it's not even just the physical shape, it's the mental shape. Because as I got healthy and I began to develop some new habits, I changed my whole way of thinking. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we get into kind of the details of my live today. And so, when we talk about our nutritional habits and whether they lead to us being healthy or not, Dr. Anderson, who's a critical care physician who really about 21 years ago kind of broke away from medicine, from the operating room, and decided to really focus on what was important, which was nutrition. And I think he's the leading physician in nutritional intervention and written some amazing books, New York Times best-selling author. And we use his material in coaching our clients each and every week. And so some of these illustrations are right out of Dr. A's life book and Habits of Health, which we use with our clients. And so when we eat healthy foods, then we live a radiant life. When we eat unhealthy foods, we typically are leading to a life of chronic and poor health. I hear it all the time with my clients when they first start my planner program. They're physically unable to even walk around the block, sometimes even go to the mailbox, even get out of the house, because it's the habits they've created over time for a variety of reasons, some emotional, some physical, some environmental. But the reality is, in order for us to make these meaningful changes, we have to change some things. And so that's why today's weekly focus on nutrition and the role nutrition plays in our overall health and life is so critically important. And I just hope that today, by the time we're done here in another 15, 20 minutes, that you have a very clear direction on what you can practically do right now, each and every day. Begin to make a few new habits that lead to you being healthy so that you can live that radiant, thriving life. So I'm going to give you some practical tips. These are things that I work with my clients on in their health journey. Again, we help people develop some habits in every aspect of life, and we're going to talk about those. But the very core of nutritional balance is really portion control. If you go to a restaurant, typically you're eating off an 11-inch plate. Back when I was in the restaurant business many, many years ago, the average dinner plate was about 10 inches. Now we have these big 11, 12, 13-inch platters that are just covered with food. Most of the food that we get when we eat in a restaurant, not always, but most of the time, it's the cheap ingredients, right? Flour, sugar, salt, rice, potatoes. We just load up our plate with these heavy starches. And when we eat all those heavy starches and we don't eat the vegetables and the fruit and the lean protein, and when we eat starches, they're not the right starches. They should be more whole grains and whole wheat pasta and whole grain breads and whole grain rice. I love farro, which is a good whole grain. So when you think about the 9-inch plate, I want you to kind of look at it this way. Half of the entire plate should be filled up with vegetables, maybe a little fruit. And then a quarter of the plate should be your lean protein. So maybe some chicken, some seafood, maybe a nice small steak. I know Denise loves filet mignon. And so that would take a quarter of the plate. And then the other quarter could be healthy starches. And at the beginning, in fact, when we work with clients in terms of their weight loss phase, we actually put the grains and starches on hold for a period of time until they get to a healthy weight. And then we introduce those back in. We even kind of set aside fruit for a period of time because fruit in itself has too much sugar and can keep the body from burning fat effectively. And so when we started on the weight loss phase of someone's health journey, we really stick to what we call lean and green, lean protein and non-starchy vegetables. As we get to a healthier weight, we incorporate those fruits, whole grain, non-fat or low-fat dairy, and we balance out our diet with nutrition. But at the beginning, you can do a lot simply by switching the size of your plate. Go from that 10.5 to 11-inch plate down to a 9-inch, and then just think of this quadrant. So half in fruit and veggies, 1/4 in protein, and another 1/4 in grains and starches. Another area of nutrition that we tend to not think about is this, what we call the glycemic index. And this is a chart you probably can't read, but you can just go to Google and Google glycemic index and the glycemic index of foods. We actually provide some of this information in the material that we use with our clients, but eating foods that are low glycemic, meaning they are low in sugar and they reduce and sometimes even eliminate a glycogen response or insulin response. And so eating low glycemic foods are really important as you want to stay healthy. But if you eat high glycemic foods, high sugary foods, the body doesn't need all of that. And so it will take what we feed it and store it as fat. So when you think about eating the right kinds of foods, I'd really encourage you. We could probably do a whole episode on the glycemic index because it's so important. Obviously, the glycemic index of a donut or a pastry or some sugary cereal, that's high glycemic. How about a hamburger with fries? High glycemic, right? But we think about lean protein, non-starchy vegetables, fruits like apples and oranges and berries and things like that are very low glycemic. Things like bananas and grapes, higher glycemic. It doesn't mean you should never eat bananas or grapes. It just means maybe on a daily basis, you might limit that. I know for me, I ate like 2 or 3 bananas every day. I love bananas, and now I know why, because they're predominantly sugar. Pineapple, again, one of Denise's favorite, pineapple, very high in sugar. So we don't eat those things a lot, but we sure love them and enjoy them. And it doesn't mean that you should never eat some of these foods that are on the high glycemic side, but try to reduce them and eliminate them as much as you can. So there's another key component. The other thing is, I want you to think of nutrition as being only one part in the cycle of health. Again, this is right out of Dr. A's Habits of Health. And when you think about the cycle of health, it's really talking about the things that we do each and every day that lead to being healthy. These are habits, right? So the habit of eating good nutrition, we've been talking about that, and solid hydration, drinking plenty of water. Our body is made up of almost 70% water. We need the water to keep our body hydrated and flushed out and keep things moving throughout our system and organs. And when we don't drink enough water, we can't deliver those key nutrients throughout our body. So again, habits of eating properly and hydration are key. Habits of healthy motion, getting up out of our chair and physically going for a walk, walking around the block, doing some yard work. When we go to the grocery store, we don't fight for the space closest to the store. We park further out and we walk in. We take the stairs rather than the escalator or elevator. Habits of motion and even going to the gym and being more physically active to build and strengthen muscle. Certainly as we get older, we lose muscle. And so making sure that we're doing muscle building activity is key. So habits of healthy motion are really part of balancing out these nutrients. Okay, I've got to bring this comment on. Denise says pickleball, right? I don't know if you know this or not, but Denise, about 6.5 weeks ago, got introduced to this new sport called pickleball, and she is absolutely loving it. And I have seen the difference in her life and her health by introducing the habit of healthy motion. So love that, honey. And by the way, if you're joining me live and you would love to just interact with me, feel free to put a comment in there. Let me know where you're coming in from. And again, if you're finding value, I love to make sure that you hear what I'm talking about and that you see some of these things as being practical that you can use in your daily life. So let's get back to the cycle of health. So the habit of healthy sleep, really key component. If we don't get enough sleep, our body can't rejuvenate and recuperate. We need to do that. Okay, another healthy habit is a habit of a healthy mind. A positive mind that is filling our mind with the things that improve us, provide us with knowledge that we can turn around and use in our day-to-day life. Maybe meditation, maybe prayer, maybe listening to music, or sometimes just simply finding a quiet spot and enjoying the outdoors. There's so much that fills our mind with all the noise, especially with social media in a political season. And I would just encourage you sometimes shut that noise off and really spend some time in personal development. So fill your mind with healthy thoughts. Your thoughts control the actions that you do. And then surround yourself with an environment that creates health. So do the people that you're surrounded with at work and at home, do they inspire you? Do they lift you up? Do they encourage you? Do they support you? Or do they tear you down? Or do they bring you down? Do they cause you at the end of the day to open up that bag of bonbons and eat the whole bag, or chocolate covered pretzels, right? So surroundings is key. And if you're threatened in any way, that's a hostile environment. You need to leave that environment until the environment becomes more calm and constant. So again, your surroundings are key. We'll cover that in another weekly focus, because I think it's such an important part of your surroundings, your environment. And all of these things lead to being healthy and helping you manage your overall weight. So I love the cycle of health. So let's kind of break that down really simply, because we're talking about nutrition today. So we're going to cover all of the components. But when you think about keeping it super simple, I love that. That's the KISS principle. Here are some very, very simple steps that you can incorporate today that will help you live a longer, healthier, more active life. So number one, eat every 2 to 3 hours. So by eating every 2 to 3 hours, you balance your blood sugars. And as long as you're eating a combination of protein and carbohydrates at every 3-hour meal or 3-hour period, you will have the energy and the fullness and the satiety to be full for the next 3 hours. And then in another 3 hours, you'll eat another small, healthy meal every 3 hours. So, we use in our meal plan with our clients that are in the weight loss phase of their journey what we call a fueling or a portion control meal, where in only 100 calories, they're getting a balance of protein and carbohydrates, vitamins and minerals and nutrients every 3 hours. And then they combine that with a healthy lean and green meal, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But so eating every 3 hours, combining protein and carbohydrates, that could be the protein shake or a protein bar, something like that. But you could also do it with a little bit of yogurt and a couple of strawberries, right? It could be a handful of almonds. So again, you want to kind of balance that every 3 hours. So that's simple step number one. Another one is to drink 64 to 90 ounces of water. I know some prevailing wisdom is to eat to drink half your body weight in ounces of water, up to a gallon. More than a gallon, our body doesn't know what to do with it or to process it effectively. So again, 64 to 90 ounces for the most part is a good guideline. The more good, clean, clear water that you can drink without adding a bunch of additives and flavor is best, so that your body is getting the best possible hydration. Sleeping 7 to 8 hours each night gives your body time to recuperate and rejuvenate. I know with my clients that are in weight loss phases of our plan, when they sleep less than 6 hours, their body doesn't have time to process and rejuvenate, and they wake up in the morning the same weight that they were when they went to bed. But if they get 7 to 8 hours sleep, their body flushes out and utilizes those nutrients, processes it. And then guess what? When you wake up in the morning and you go to the restroom, step on the scale, you're probably going to be lighter because you got a good night's rest. Not always, but in most cases. We talked a little bit about the lean and green meal. This is kind of the main meals of the day. So whether you're eating 3 balanced meals each day, or if you're in a nutritionally controlled plan, it might be 1 or 2 of these meals. but balancing protein and carbohydrates, getting all of the key nutrients that you need are really, really critical. Because if you eat nothing but lettuce and carrots and celery, you're not getting enough nutrients. Your body doesn't have enough calories to function, and you're going to be lightheaded. You're going to be a little dizzy. You're going to be a little weak. So eating good, solid nutrition is key, and don't let anyone tell you different. Also, daily activity, 30 to 45 minutes each day. I know many people that have a regimen of going to the gym might be doing 3 to 4 days a week in the gym, working out 45 minutes or more. And in that environment, that's great because you're balancing that. But just just in general, if you're getting some physical activity 30 to 45 minutes a day, you are really doing a lot to be healthy long term. And then daily self-care. That's what we're talking about, spending some time in growth and development by yourself, focused on self-care. In many cases, just go get a haircut, go get your nails done. Go do a little yoga in the park, listen to some of your favorite music, read a little bit out of a book that provides you, encouragement and lifts you up. Daily self-care is key. So when you follow these simple steps, you are putting yourself in a position to be healthy long-term. But a couple of things to look out for. We're about ready to land the plane. But I wanted to just say, here's a couple of things to look out for. Certainly from a nutrition standpoint is watch the condiments. So things like ketchup and sauces and things that we add to a really good, healthy, lean and green meal. Sometimes the condiments can really be the trap. So you could eat completely healthy, do all the right things, but all of a sudden you're adding ketchup and sauces and creams and things to make those foods taste better. And in many cases, those condiments are full of sugar. That's kind of what I'm talking about here, the hidden sugar in what we would think would be okay to have a couple tablespoons of ketchup. But you might be surprised when you look at the carbohydrates of ketchup that it may be higher than you realize. There was a food Denise and I were looking at the other day, and we went, wow, it was just crazy in sugars and condiments. So keep an eye on the condiments. Watch for hidden sugars in foods. There's lots of names. If you look at ingredient labels for foods or ingredients that are highly processed or sugars with lots of different names, fructose, all the toses are typically sugar. Look out for a lot of ingredients. When you look at an ingredient label on a processed food, the more ingredients, probably the less healthy it is. There are some really great Italian foods that are, convenient, like a sauce. If you look at sauces from Italy, there's usually only about 2 or 3 ingredients, maybe 4. But you look at ingredients of foods that are processed here in the United States, it's got all these preservatives in it. So try to stay away from those if you can. Also, be careful when you go out to eat. One, portion size is big. The ingredients of the foods that they prepare are generally the cheaper ingredients our body doesn't need very much of, and we get way too much of it when we go out. Just a couple of tips when you go out to eat and there's a meal, cut it in half, put half of it in a to-go box right before you even eat it. And you can get a couple of meals out of that. It'll save you a little bit of money, and it'll help you in the portion control part of going out to eat. And again, wherever you can, fruits, vegetables, protein, really kind of control those. And if you need to say, skip the starches, give me extra veggies, then do that. Okay. Most restaurants will accommodate special diet considerations. So be careful when you eat out. And the more you eat out, the less you're controlling those ingredients. Having spent 35 years in the restaurant business, I remember sometimes we'd buy a low quality steak, and the way we'd make it taste good is we'd take a big scoop of butter with a little bit of herb on it, and we'd call it, herb cheese butter, and it'd be on top of a steak. And man, anything would make that steak taste good when it's covered with butter and cheese. So be careful. And then I know sometimes when you go and you even get fresh veggies at a restaurant, sometimes the cooks will take a little scoop of butter, liquid butter or butter flavored oil, even worse yet, and they'll put that right over the veggies to make the veggies taste good. So if you are wanting to control those fats and to control those ingredients, maybe ask them to just steam the vegetables, no additional oils or fats. And then, the daily habits that you do each and every day around snacking and treats. You know, if you've had a rough day, a lot of times we think we've deserved a treat, or we deserve that glass of wine because of a really rough day. Just be really careful of those daily habits. And if you are snacking on high sugar, high fructose types of foods, lots of treats with sugar or ice cream or things like that, or alcohol, those are just unnecessary calories that are really not serving you very well. So anyway, just keep an eye open for that. So as we put this into some practice for you today, I want you to really think about we covered a lot of material, and there was a lot of it that you have to kind of figure out and digest. But what I want you to do is to commit to making one nutritional change this week, whatever that is for you. Maybe it's portion control. Maybe it's drinking more water. Maybe it's eating more lean and green, or eating every 2 to 3 hours. But I want you to think about everything that we've shared today in our weekly focus. And if you're joining us now, just catching our live, make sure that you go back and listen to the beginning. There are some really great nuggets in today's broadcast. But the goal for me is that whatever I share, that you actually take it and use it in your everyday life. So this week, I want you to make a commitment to yourself to make one improvement in your nutritional habits, and make that part of a habit that you do each and every day. So with that, hey guys, thanks for being a part of my life. This is one of my favorite things to do, is to kind of share from my own personal experience. Like I said, I lost 85 pounds in 19 weeks many, many years ago, and it's just absolutely changed my life. It has set my life on a new path and a new direction. I feel better now. And you know what? I think my skin looks better, and my hair looks better. I'm sleeping better at night. And you know what? Who doesn't want to look good and feel good? I remember the Fernando Lamas phrase. I share this with Denise all the time. It's better to look good than to feel good. That's actually not true. It's better to look good and to feel good. And that's what we've been talking about today, is simply this: the joy is in the journey. Sometimes we think about making permanent changes in our life and in our health, and we talk about making changes or going to the gym or looking to lose weight. The joy is in the journey. If you're on a restrictive diet and you're punishing yourself in the gym, there is no joy in that, is there? But there's joy in creating these little habits. Enjoy a new healthy recipe. Enjoy getting out and going for a walk. Enjoy doing the things that improve your life and health. And I just want to say that it's exciting to see all of the changes going on in people's life each and every day because of some of the things that we get to do as coaches. If you are looking to make some permanent changes, maybe you're looking for a weight loss plan to help you kind of right the ship, we'd love to come alongside you and help you. Develop a meal plan that will help you do that, set some new habits, give you some tools and resources, and check in with you each and every week as you have an accountability partner in Denise and I as a coach. I would love for you to just reach out and say, hey, I'd love to learn more about your plan. There's no pressure. It's just a simple plan based on many of the nutritional habits that we've talked about in today's focus. So let's see. Let me go through my notes real quick and make sure. Okay, I think I've covered everything. Well, again, thanks for being a part of my live. Make sure that you set your calendar to join me every Friday morning at 10 Pacific. You can find me over in YouTube and the YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/@Russ McCann. So the @ Russ McCann, you can find me over there. Certainly, many of you are on Facebook. You can find me, Russell McCann, at facebook.com/Russell McCann, Russell.McCann. But needless to say, let's stay connected, because each and every week we're going to cover another topic, another aspect of health. This is a 12-week series, and this is week number 4. And so we've got another 8 weeks to go before we wrap up this line. But, again, I love helping people improve their overall life and health. So with that, you guys go out and have an amazing weekend. It's fall. The leaves are starting to change. The weather temperatures got a little bit more cold. You know what? And before you know it, we're going to be decorating for Christmas, right, Denise? So we decorate for Christmas November 1st so that we can get the most out of those Christmas decorations. So love to get your thoughts on that. But with that, you guys go out and have an amazing weekend. Bye, everyone.